Good evening and welcome along to Business Today. I'm Jerome Paul Sunko with Winnie Williams and Nakauchi on Sign Language. Today is the 19th of December 2022, and of course, we are slowly moving into the year 2023. How prepared are you though? All right, now let's kickstart it off with the first report regarding the digitization of URSP services. Currently, the website and email platform are used to deliver over 80% of URSP services. To speed up the registration procedure and to improve the business environment, plans are in place to offer all services online. Through the use of mobile assets, these technologies will let micro, small and medium-sized enterprises obtain reasonable loans while also fully executing service delivery. We have more in this report.
When a business is registered, it is said to be incorporated, and a certificate of incorporation is given out. The company becomes a body corporate distinct from its owners upon formation. In other words, the company will be accepted by the law as legitimate and qualified to conduct business under its own name. The new system seeks to streamline service delivery during business registration, since clients may now access services online and manage customer financing services to combat the money laundering business in Uganda.
It is basically aimed at addressing aspects of anti-money laundering and terrorism financing. In most cases, these aspects are managed through companies or registered entities. Number one is the ability to transact without having to come to URSB. You all know that most times our systems that we've been using, you had to give us documents, and these documents had to be presented to us physically. You all know that we have not been having the capacity for us to serve you without you getting to our office, especially us in the Directorate of Business Registration. So one of the biggest milestones that we are very proud about in this system is an element of us being able to support you or to process your applications without you coming to our office.
Since the system is dependable and available to all users, it will be used to operate and improve customer service delivery and turnaround time. As there is a lot of red tape involved in registering businesses, this is a victory for the private sector. The registration process is now simplified by the web presence, which will attract more investors to the nation.
The new system is going to be a game changer for us, particularly in the private sector. Private sector has its own facets of creating an enabling environment. And by that, we are one of those institutions that improve the enabling environment. And from his explanation, it's going to provide real-time convenience where you can actually register whatever you want at the comfort of your home. And it will be an enabler in also reducing the cost of doing business. You will find that the trip people make to and fro offices, coming to check on your work, coming to check on the registration system, it takes so much cost. So we link with the private sector on how best we can reduce the cost of doing business. And to us, if we contribute to it, that is going to be a plus for URSP, but also at the major framework of private sector growth.
An entrepreneur named Tofas Oringo highlighted how purchasing things is made simple for clients by going online at any time. This system is a carefully thought-out innovation plan that capitalizes on rising non-tax revenue for the government while offering clients continuous service delivery improvement.
It's just been said what we've learned here now. We are going online, which is very good, and our products are going to be so instead of carrying things, we are on a small scale. And instead of moving, we go just Google. You just Google and find us. Then it is everything will be done.
Increasing the use of technology in customer service will enable secure corporate transactions and more efficient service delivery. This is a significant development for Uganda's business community since it offers creative, dependable, and easily available registration services for a structured economy and transparency accountability. Martha Nimsima, Rona Nahawe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now our eyes turn to the Insurance Regulatory Authority, which has, in line with its recently expanded mandate to encourage market development, committed to create an enabling environment that fosters innovation to ensure that more Ugandans are more effectively protected with appropriate insurance products. It plans to venture into the upcoming and growing sectors of the country, such as oil and gas, as well as agriculture. We have more in this report. Uganda enacted the new Insurance Act in 2018 that expanded the Insurance Regulatory Authority mandate to include market development. Innovations in global insurance markets have illustrated how insurance can be better designed, offer more affordably, and thus provide better value for customers. A good insurance venture intends to attract more international players, especially those in the oil and gas sector.
We have had a number of regulations signed off by the minister, and indeed some of them have been gazetted and others are going to be gazetted in about 2 weeks from now. Most critical of them is oil and gas. As we know, oil and gas is one big business which we must provide guidance. We have provided guidance in the regulation, which is going to be gazetted in about 2 weeks from now. This is going to be a game changer because we know the volumes of premiums which are going to come in from this sector.
To assess the changes and adaptations, there is need to balance between innovation and risks. The objective of these assessments is to identify the unique challenges in the market and potential tools that could be adapted to the context, create an enabling regulatory environment for sustainable growth of the agriculture and oil and gas sectors. Bronia Katusime for Business Today. Right now, we look at the increased central bank rate as the Monetary Policy Committee has kept on raising the benchmark rate, making it the largest increase since 2018. Today in our report, we see the effect of increasing the bank rate on the economy and what it will be in the long run. Ivan Tibenkana on this one.
Uganda is one of the many African countries that are choking on inflation. But this country has been steadily and silently suffering from what we call hyperinflation. Big currency denominations, bigger notes in the supply chain. For some time, if you look back at around the period of 1990, right into early 2000s, and then right into where we are, 2022. Bigger denominations have been in circulation for some time. You could talk about the 10,000 shillings, 20,000 shillings, 50,000 shillings, among others. But what does this mean if a country is choking on hyperinflation and currently dealing with an issue called inflation, struggling with the spillover effects of international contestations? Let's get to it to understand what exactly the position of this country is when you talk about the business sectors and then the people that rely on trade and businesses in general. I'm Ivan Tibenkan. Contrary to nations with stable currencies such as Kenya, South Africa, Kuwait, and the UK, among others, Uganda's shilling has declined over time, helped by the country's transition from small bills and denominations to big, fat notes that facilitate cash transactions. But how we got here, we'll have to wait for another day's discussion.
Ugandans are poorer. So there are not many people who need the 50,000. Let me destroy a 50,000 and replace it with 50 of the 1,000 not. Because we want to support the people at the bottom of the pyramid who need change. I've seen taxis stop because we are waiting for change of 300 shillings. Can't find it. Somebody needs his 300. It means a lot to them.
The Bank of Uganda on 12th August raised the benchmark interest rate to 9% from 7.5 and 8.5 the month prior. Keep in mind that the central bank rate is reviewed once every 2 months, therefore twice every 4 months. But this wasn't the case.
Going forward, the MPC considers that the monetary policy stance will have to be tightened even further if inflationary pressures persist to ensure that inflation reverts to its medium-term target of 5%.
So all these are efforts that once the central bank looks at, they signal to the commercial banks that, hey, this is the status of the economy. As such, we need to control the money supply because that's just controlling money supply, So once they signal and then raise it 3 times in a row in a very, very short period, of course, that's alarming. It's bound to be alarming. This simply means that whenever they raise it, they're telling the commercial banks that, hey, this is the situation in the economy, raise your rates as well, let's curb the inflation.
2021, the month of June, their monetary policy report, it said they were doing something called monetary financing. In other words, Bank of Ghana is supposed to make, government is supposed to pay some kind of loan debt at a certain rate, or they're supposed to pay some money. Now, Bank of Ghana makes for that difference. In case government does not make the difference, Bank of Ghana literally prints money and adds that difference and pays off that debt. So, if they were doing monetary financing, and maybe it could have caused some, it could have been, because they said themselves in that report that it has associated risks of macroeconomic risks, which include our inflation.
Adam Posen at the Peterson Institute for International Economics recently said that the time for inflation targeting may have passed due to the over-reliance on a monetary policy that targets inflation. So how far can central banks go on increasing the policy interest rate?
I don't think this would be the perfect time to increase the CBR, because what we're experiencing is a low aggregate demand within the economy. So at this time, I wouldn't think that the Bank of Uganda would be fit to put this into perspective that you increase the borrowing rate, because when the Bank of Uganda increases, the commercial banks also increase, and yet this is where most of our members access funds.
Whenever the CBR rate goes up, it's a signal to commercial banks to raise their lending rates as well. And they are very, very quick at raising the rates. The sad bit is that when it signals to lower these rates by reducing the CBR, let's say from 9, let's say if they go to maybe like 7 right now, if a central bank has been charging about 22%, it will be very, 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 very minimal. To maybe go to 21.9%. Yet the central bank rate has skipped by maybe, let's say, 30 percentage points. So of course they stand to celebrate. A number of them really raise them expeditiously high.
Bank of Uganda is using a wrong remedy, and we're going to suffer the full brunt of their measures.
A portion of the solution to the inflation problem is to control the amount of money in circulation. With less demand for goods and services, commodity prices would be forced to fall. But who are the individuals in possession of the large sums of cash that are allegedly flooding the market? There are many people, businesses and people that I can't expose, but I'm certain are gone.
The loan-to-value ratio, the commercial banks normally have that thing called loan-to-value. Like sometimes Bank of Ghana told them to increase their lending against value. They may not lend exactly to the value of your asset you have pledged as collateral, but they normally lend something. There's a percentage, the loan-to-value ratio. Bank of Ghana told them to increase, and banks are like, no, we cannot. So the worst-case scenario, if things remain as they are, is, of course, you're going to have very many foreclosures. You're going to have very many. Of course, lawyers will be all over in business trying to do recoveries.
Whoever drowns first if the headline inflation, which measures the change in the value of all goods and services, when it rises to 7.4% on average this year from the July rate of 6.8%, is yet to be known.
With fewer dollars in the economy, we would have our shilling depreciate. And as we've discussed, the depreciation of the shilling will translate into inflation. So it's something you want to keep watching. Say, how should we respond? Now, one of the reasons the central bank in Uganda, Bank of Uganda, is trying to increase the rates is to counter that.
Bank of Uganda is not being entirely honest with people. And that is why they are firefighting with solutions. This inflation is not because of any Bank of Uganda policy. If anything, it is not entirely their fault. They could have contributed, but it's not entirely their fault. Most of the inflation we're having in this country is exported inflation from the big powers. But for them, what they have done, look at the European Central Bank, if you look at the Federal Reserve of the US, they've actually not rushed to cut rates yet, though there are considerations. The US, actually, for them, they are considering raising interest rates, raise their rate, their equivalent of our CBR. Why? Because for them it makes sense. For them, they are doing something called quantitative tightening. They are removing money from circulation.
With rising interest rates on loans, the degree to which investments at various levels are struggling to survive is dire as the crisis grows.
waliwo asobola okwesobola nateka kutenera agimaliza waliwo n'abagatta nanti ajja kutwalako.
There are those that are independent, and others simply combine hands. About 4 people. That's the current situation. At times, you realize that those merging to import used to do it independently, bringing in about 3 containers.
Our currency is very weak, not only against the international currencies like the dollar and the pound, but also against the regional currencies. Regional currencies, we are talking about the Tanzania and Kenya shillings. Our shilling is still very weak. But when you also analyze our balance of trade deficit, it is really standing, let's say, at 60%.
You can sell more, get more tourists, but also import less. Then our shilling would get the value. But as we've said, those are not things you get in 1 month. Ugandans still want their cars, they still want their phones, they still want their tiles, they still want their everything, clothes that is imported. That puts a pressure on the dollar and keeps the shilling without adequate value.
The blame game around the current inflation is pretty fascinating, and because the severity of consequences varies depending on where you live.
European governments have been printing money since that global financial crisis of 2008. They pumped so much money into the system. At one point, the American government was pumping in about $86 billion per month. Now, for comparison purposes for our viewers, the Ugandan economy is about $43 billion, the entire economy. So for America to pump in 86 per month, which is twice the Ugandan economy, every month, consistently for months and years, you're putting so much money into the system. And that causes inflation.
We had trouble connecting with financial institutions and couldn't have an in-depth discussion regarding their viewpoint. But it's intriguing, though, how such a criteria may be met given the updated paid-up capital requirements for commercial banks and other financial institutions.
They are proposing to have the 25 billion of commercial banks, those that's tier 1 institutions, they license, to about 50 or 60 something like that. Why would you do that at such a time? Now the risk that is going to bring, and so the trend start beginning to show, is that you're going to have very many mergers. You're going to have a concentration of the financial sector in a few hands.
It would be reasonable to implement a contractionary fiscal policy, one that reduces government expenditure on infrastructure, services, among other things, and increasing tax revenue in return to combat inflation. It's, however, debatable how successful this may be in a sinking economy.
All the 6 cement factories in Uganda, Hima Cement, Kampala Cement, Toro Cement, Simba Cement, Metro, they have stock full in the store. Why? Because government has not released the development component of the budget for this financial year. Government has also not paid domestic debt of the road contractors, those building hospitals, those building schools, those building waterworks, and therefore there is serious squeeze of liquidity among contractors. So we urge government immediately in the next release to release money for the development component to stimulate growth.
According to the Bank of Uganda, this country is believed to have grown by 4.6% when you look at the just concluded financial year 2021-2022, thanks to private investment. However, the private sector and the people in the business sector generally are choking on inflation with a fear of insolvency, bankruptcy, among other issues that regard the transparency and progress of businesses. So what would someone think of as the best solution? Would you think of a well-managed monetary policy? Let's talk about the fiscal policy, government expenditure, and then relative taxation. The monetary policy itself. How equitable could it be? How fair could it be? That's something you could think about. I'm Ivan Tibenkana, and this is Smart 24 TV.
Ivan Tibenkana. Well, after the break, we do return with the coffee cup, so stick around to Smart 24 as Business Today. Let's continue. 24, Driving Business. Smart 24, Driving Business.
Sky. Futimbuto, the taste of Uganda in a new international park.
Mukwano?
Yes?
I need you to help me watch the kids. I'm going to pay school fees.
I've finished.
Excuse me.
Relax. Sit down, watch TV. I've already paid.
No stress, whether night or day to the okay.
Don't hustle to pay bills or send money. Chikole for less. Ne flexi pay. Hold it.
Chikole for less with FlexiPay. Dial *291# to transact or download the FlexiPay app to get started. Stanbic Bank. It can be. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund of Uganda up to 10 million shillings.
Smart 24, Driving Business. I'll be back from the break. Now let's head to the coffee court. Now, one of the well-known kingdoms in Uganda is that of Busoga, which has contributed significantly to the country's economic change from it being an industrial hub of Uganda, now Jinja City, which is also located in Busoga region. And tonight in the Coffee Court, we discuss the kingdom's influence and the general performance of the business within the entire kingdom. We have more in the Coffee Court.
Well, it is a pleasure and thank you for joining us on this Coffee Court, where we usually ask the critical questions, but most importantly, questions that matter. And this time round, we take time to digest the business opportunities within Busoga as a region. And joining me to discuss this is the Deputy Prime Minister. This is Mr. Ahmed Osman. He's the Deputy Prime Minister. Particularly, it is a pleasure and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I am deeply honored to be on this show. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come and digress on issues touching our people.
My pleasure too that you've spared time to speak to us. How unique is Busoga region?
Busoga as a region is comprised of 11 chiefdoms. And those 11 chiefdoms come under the Chabazinga. Naturally or ordinarily, Chabazinga Busoga is an institution that is there to transform the socio-economic development of its people in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of agriculture, in terms of tourism, and many other aspects.
So what makes it unique from other kingdoms? You have Buganda and the rest of the other kingdoms. What is it that unique that you think you have as a kingdom and the rest of the other kingdoms actually?
Well, first of all, we are centrally located in Uganda. We happen to be an institution where the king comes from 5 chiefdoms and he's elected by his brothers, the hereditary chiefs of the respective chiefdoms. So that makes us unique.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll discuss Jinja as a city. I know Busoga is a broad region and you can't separate it from Jinja. You are a city. 2 years down the road, are you a city just in words or you are a city?
Well, when government comes in with new policies, of course it has its challenges. As a city, there's so many things that the expectations were so high, but fortunately or unfortunately, the city came in at a time when the whole world was plagued with the COVID-19. So on the face of it, you can see that not only Jinja City, not only Uganda, the whole world was devastated by COVID-19. In effect, which retarded so many developments.
So that makes it as, what are the unique features? If I am to define it from the rest of the other cities, I know there's Soloti on ground, I know there's Zimbabwe on ground, I know Hoima is already in operation, I know there's Masaka, I know there's Zimbalara, I know there's Fort Potro, and if things don't change, Entebbe will be coming on board. What is it that defines you as a city in Jinja?
As a city, Jinja is unique in the sense that it mothers the source of the Nile. You'll find that today, as we see Jinja City is now turning to be one of the tourist destinations in this country with a very big potential of developing its economy.
So which are the tourist attractions you're talking about? I don't seem to be seeing any.
We have so many. We have the source of the Nile, we have the Jagali, and many others. We have the Busoko Falls. We have so many, and you can see that recently we had the Nyege Nyege, which took place here in Jinja.
That happens once?
Once, yeah, in a year.
So do we count that as a fundamental?
It's a big event. Sure. It's a big event. I mean, okay, with all its other maybe shortcomings that it had with the negative publicity that it had, but it had its attraction. It has, and it was worldwide. It was international. It was an international event.
You're not only just a prime minister, but you're also a business person.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm that right.
Yes.
If we are to assess the year 2023, in your perspective, both as a business person, but also as a leader from the Busoga side, how has this year performed?
2022 has been extremely very difficult.
2023.
2022. It has been extremely very difficult. Many businesses didn't get out of the COVID-19 because of the devastating effects that it had. From the business perspective, we thought that maybe government would have come up with some interventions, which didn't happen. So many companies are grappling with loans. I'm sure you know, you have been reading in the papers. You have even been seeing the surveys that have been conducted. Busoga is not different, or Jinja is not different from other parts of the country and the world, which were hit by the pandemic. So, but we are optimistic. We had the sugarcane, which where the prices slumped down so much, up to maybe 70,000 shillings a ton. And it was more of a reason of oversupply, overproduction. Market forces are defined by demand and supply. So you can see now again the prices have started going up to 220, 230,000 per metric ton. So overall, it has been a very difficult year.
I am glad that you're bringing me to speed when it comes to issues of sugarcane. What is it? You were initially known for producing sugarcane. What is it exactly, as we talk right now, you are known for when it comes to issues of cash crops?
Well, number one, we're known for sugarcane. Then we have, although we don't have, unfortunately or fortunately, our people have gone into subdivisions of the land because of customary issues, because of hereditary issues. And the president several times has discouraged people from dividing the land. But the fact that that has been the norm, you will find that we are not in so much what I would call commercial farming. We are more of subsistence and basically growing food for
food consumption.
For food consumption. But we have maize, we have some coffee here and there. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the leaders that we have at political levels have done their best to see that Busoga betters itself from where it was or where it is now to where probably you want it to be?
Well, I would love so much to talk about the institution that I serve, that is the kingdom, because there are different dynamics, different challenges. I know the politicians also are grappling with so many things. The expectations from the electorate are so many, so high. But more or less, yes and no, I think they have not worked to the expectation of the people.
Okay.
But as an institution, we have come in to mitigate so many things. We have come in to complement government on so many programs in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of agriculture. We look for partners here and there. Because as an institution, as Busoga Kingdom, we have structures, right from the top to the clans, and we are everywhere. So we use our structures to see that at least we can see how people can leverage and benefit in terms of resources, in terms of technological transfer, in terms of educating them of how things are going on.
Okay. Yes. Maybe to bring us to speed, what are the structures you're talking about?
At
culture institution.
Okay, we have on top, we have the Chiefs Royal Council, we have the cabinet which acts as an executive, we have the Busoga Luchiko, we have the clan leaders which go down up to the grassroots. Yeah.
And you think the presence of these institutions have significantly impacted Busoga?
100%. We use them even in the times of COVID, when we were trying to reach out to our people, to sensitize them. We used our structure, and it really worked out very well.
Have the government programs been able to reach Busoga Definitely, I'm talking about programs like the parish development model.
Yes.
Which came to actually to its initiation.
Yes.
In this
Even as an
financial-
institution, we're engaged by government through the Ministry of Local Government to come and educate our people as an institution, as a kingdom, as what I would call a cultural institution. We are part of it when the PDM was now being rolled out. So we're involved in disseminating information, educating our people. So we help them also in getting our structures getting involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with the workable, I'm talking about the economic workable environment, with the people that you are under leadership with?
In terms of...
I am meaning in terms of economic empowerment.
Yes, of course, government is working on so many interventions, okay? Like, you know, Bonabagagawale, so many programs have been coming up. And we are optimistic that maybe the parish development model will go down and trickle down and see how it can change the people's lives.
Okay. Maybe as a cultural leader, what is it that you think is not going right from the economic perspective this time around that you think maybe needs to change so that our people get better empowered?
I think it is global now. So many things are happening. You know, the wars in Russia, in Ukraine, the pandemic, as I earlier mentioned it. So I'm sure these things will not change overnight. It will take time for it to recover. Yeah.
But what is it that we think?
Of course, for us as Ugandans, we are looking at the oil, of course. We are saying that maybe if our oil comes out, we'll leverage on that, and maybe it will create, because already so many contracts were signed, and I'm sure that will have a lot of economic benefit, multiply benefits to our people.
And how prepared are your people to tap into such big and huge opportunities?
Well, as I told you, that's about educating our people, and of course there is Bubu, there is what we call the local content, which really government is emphasizing. So I'm very sure that our people will benefit from the local content.
I know the viewers will agree with me. Prices have kept on changing, prices of commodities.
Yes.
Today you buy sugar at this price, the other day things have changed.
Yeah.
You boss keeps us giving us different rates. Today the inflation rate is at least, as I talk right now, it's about 10.6. So with the changes in the inflation rate and banks changing CBR, how has this anyway affected?
It has affected and it has impacted on so many businesses.
Okay.
And you know, ours is a free economy. Government doesn't regulate. I'll give you an example. I deal in fuel, in oil. Unlike Kenya, where there is what they call Energy Regulatory Authority. For us in Uganda, it's a free market. It's a free buyer, free seller. Okay? So government doesn't come in, and government doesn't believe in that. Government doesn't believe in subsidy because it doesn't work at the end of the day. It will eat up on the reserves and everything. Yeah.
And so maybe as we draw towards the year, you did assert that the year has been that challenging.
Very tough.
So what is it that we ought to work on in the short days that we have to see to that maybe next year?
In these short days, there's nothing much we can do, but we're encouraging our people to, because production is very important. Even this COVID pandemic, when it hit us so hard, what made us survive was the food that we had, our food basket. So for us, we encourage our people to continue participating in agriculture because that's the only backbone that we have.
So what is it that we ought to learn, relearn, and unlearn?
What we need to learn, of course, COVID came with so many challenges. It has taught us so many things. So many things have changed in terms of working ethics, in terms of even companies conducting their day-to-day businesses. So a lot of cost-cutting issues have come up. Yeah.
And maybe I need to pick your input on issues regarding youth unemployment. As a kingdom, what is it that we are doing to empower young people in Busoga to become financially?
Well, we have a skilling program that we have been doing in hairdressing, carpentry, joinery, welding. We get partners, and we have done quite a tremendous job on that side. And trying to skill our people. Yes.
You think that's good enough to empower our kingdom as Busoga?
Yes. Skilling is very important. Because once you get skilled, at least you don't go for the low hanging fruits. So guys, the youth get that empowerment.
Okay. And maybe other than skilling, you think you have any alternative you can put before definitely the bigger government in regards to on matters regarding how we empower Busoga as a region?
Well, what is very important is infrastructure. For us, what we want from government is to open the road networks, okay? Follow up the PDM, which is very critical. in terms of seeing that at least, because government has really earmarked, government has put a lot of money in the PDM. If it is properly handled, I'm very sure it will come with a lot of multiplier benefits to the people.
Okay. Maybe as the year comes to the end, you must be having a word for those in authority. What is exactly that you would love to leave for maybe the government in charge?
I will talk about our local leadership.
Okay.
I'm imploring them to improve on service delivery, because our people are yearning, our people are begging for service delivery. I'm sure the local authorities can use the meager resources that they have, try to fight corruption and see how best our people can get services from them.
Okay. Would that be your parting shots, Katukiro of Busoga? It's a pleasure, and thank you for...
Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you for sparing time to speak to us. Of course, that is it from the Deputy Katukiro of Soga, Ahmed Osman. He is also a business person when it comes to matters of Busoga region. That is it from the Coffee Court, and my name is Fred Akubuya.
And many thanks for being part of business today. It's Monday. Hope Tuesday will be a good one for all of you, wherever you've been catching us from. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Beans and Akauchi on sign language. And of course, from the entire newsroom, editorial, and production team here at Plot 42 Nile Avenue, we do wish you a blessed night. Till tomorrow, good evening.